Hello everyone, this is the continuation video of the previous lecture. So in previous lecture, we already developed the clientlib. So here we already applied the CSS logic or the CSS logic. Okay. So I'm going to discuss the further concept related to that. If I move to the CRXT, so here we have HTML and we have connected HTML with the CSS. Okay. Here we have applied couple of logic how we have connected with the help of this syntax we have connected. So most important part of there we do have category. So based on the category we are able to identify which client lib we just need to call. Okay, we just need to include, I mean to say. Okay, suppose that here we have within CSS we do have uh, one folder, one particular CSS file. So let's create one more here. So we'll use create file, and suppose that I'm using this.css maybe here. Okay, so within the test.html, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to remove one sub now, right? I mean to say whatever code we have written to move the changes, this sub now right is part of this one. So to move the changes to right side and add some margin there, right? If I remove that particular code, if I refresh the page, so we'll able to it will not move to the right. It will be part of the same thing. Okay, as you can see here. So I just wanted to move this particular part maybe in text.css. Okay, if I reload the page again here maybe, so still we are not getting the exact thing, even though I have added the CSS logic, the CSS thing here. Okay, but most important part I already told you earlier as well as, so whatever file will include it here, only those file will trigger. Okay, so right now we have added header component.css. Within that we don't have sub now right one. I mean to say a couple of URL we need to move to right, those logic or those CSS we don't have. Okay, so those part we moved in test.css. So this test.css also we need to include it here. Okay, suppose that if I include it here, CSS. Okay, and after that if I refresh the page, so we'll able to get the changes because I have already included. Okay, so first one as you can see it is moved to right. Okay, so we do have two CSS. Okay, suppose that here, and when we are included in HTML, so with the help of this logic only we able to get all the CSS, I meant to say. Okay, it will, because we are combining, we are using header component client lib, this particular client lib we are using, which is part of this folder. Okay, so first key feature we were having, we discussed right about the organization structure. So this is the client lib structure where we are keeping all the CSS, as well as when we'll discuss the JS logic, the same structure will follow there. Okay, so here maybe I'll create the structure, and when we discuss the JS logic, we'll write the logic there. Okay, so as you can see, we already, and suppose that whatever will suppose this particular part, if within the CSS, if I remove this particular part, so whatever CSS changes we have in header component dot CSS, those changes will not reflect on the pages. Okay, same thing we discuss about the test dot CSS, right? The same thing will follow here. So whatever will include here, I mean to say, so all the CSS listed here will be applicable to the component or to the page. Otherwise, if we don't have the CSS listed here, those CSS changes will not be able to apply. Okay, and the next thing is that we do have only to load to improve the performance. We just need to make one network, or I discussed earlier, right? In the static website, we always need to call several whatever files will include. We need to call each and every time. We need to call the network call, right? Suppose that we have 100 file, so 100 network call we need to follow. So right now I have just giving one example where we have two files, but in this case we will be having only one network call here. Okay, so let me show you that also. So I'll just inspect the page here. I'll just need to show you the network call. So I'll just go to the network here. We don't have anything. I'll just refresh the page here. If I go to network tab, we'll able to get several CSS files already listed here. Okay, so all the files is something related to different thing, but I just wanted to show you component specific files. So let me go there once. So if I hover on this, as you can see here, we do have custom AEM component, AEM component header. So this is our client lib. Okay. So if I open this one, as you can see, this is the CSS whatever we have added for us. Okay. So first of all, whatever CSS, only one network call is there. Okay. Only one CSS. I'm interested. This call will happen. And apart from that, these are the whatever CSS we have. This is not component specific here. This is something related to different thing. Okay, but this is, if I hover on this, as you can see, this is component specific CSS. Okay, and after that, whatever CSS we have added there, those CSS will render it here, I mean to say. Okay, so how it will render? It will render from top to bottom, means uh, if I go here, as you can see, we do have the CSS file. And if I go here once again, so here we do have how we are generally loading the CSS. It will load from top to bottom. So first we'll able to get the header component CSS, after that test.css. So in header component, we do have all the changes, as you can see here. If I open this one, so most of the parts till here it will load first, and after that it will load the test.css. Within the test.css will we have this one. So this particular content will load to the last. Okay, let me show you. So in whatever we have there, it is the particular the header component session, and this particular part is the test.css. Okay, so if I move this test.css to the top, so test.css changes will reflect first, will render first, and after that the header component css will render. Okay, so in this way it will follow, and as you can see, I showed you one network call will happen only if you are trying to include more than one CSS file. Also, the same changes, the same thing will applicable. Only one network call will be happening, and within the main network call, a everything will be available. Okay. The second one, we have how to reduce the or optimize the loading time, right? So generally, if I show you this particular part, this is the minification version of CSS. Okay, this is the minified version. If you see here, it is something lc.min.css. Okay, so this is the minification.js. If you minify the JS, everyone, yeah, so the load time when you load the page, it will reduce the load time. It will not take much time to load the page. Okay, to do that, we do have one configuration. So just wanted to show you that if you don't get the minified version, and if you wanted to reduce the load time in general scenario I'm talking about, so you just need to apply those things, and after that you will able to get your css or js file in minification version. Okay, so let me go to, so we just need to open system console bundle here, and after that we just need to search Adobe Client Library Manager. So uh, we need to open this one, everyone, and here we do have one checkbox, minify. So we just need to click on that. If you click on that, so here also already mentioned, so it will compress the CSS and JS file, and it will provide the minified version of that. Okay, so we just need to follow this one. If you added this one, so whatever CSS and JS will render, we will on the page, it will be minified version. So as you can see, we are getting that particular part properly here. Okay, so these are the some of the basic concept related to AEM client lib. Okay, so and one more thing, I just wanted to create for sample purpose. I just wanted to create the JS part as well as. So if you wanted to create the JS, it's similar to CSS. We need to create the JS folder. So I'll just create JS here, and we'll create a js.txt here. Txt here will create. And after that, within JS, maybe any kind of file if you wanted to create, so we'll create that. So suppose that we do have header component dot JS maybe. Okay, this one we can create. And the same way, the way we are adding in we have added in CSS, the same thing we'll add. So base will be JS here, as well as the file will include here. So whatever changes we will write here, those changes will reflect, any business logic will write here, it will reflect on the pages. Okay, or all the on the component will reflect this particular part, the JS part, because we do have couple of validation, another thing we need to do dialog validation, another thing. So this one will include, and when we develop the form, another thing there also it is will discuss the JS another part. Okay, for now it is similar to create the way we have created the CSS file. We just need to create the JS in the similar way. Okay, and one more thing, when we are using, suppose that if you wanted to include CSS as well as JS, both the things in your HTML. So only instead of this, we just need to add all here, okay? Because within the all template, if I go here, as you can see, within the all template, it will return both the client library. I mean to say CSS and JS both, okay? If you need to include JS, will directly use .js or CSS. But if you wanted to include both the things, so this logic is sufficient, okay? Only, and whatever concept we followed, I mean to say the order of execution of CSS file, the only one network call, all the concept will be applicable in JS as well as, okay. This particular part we'll talk about later, but if you wanted to create in this way, we'll able to create always in this way, okay. And all the concept whatever we'll discuss in case of CSS, the whole concept, whole kind of logic or concept will be applicable in case of JS as well as. And suppose that I told you, right, if you wanted to fetch all these value, if you build the code, will lost all these thing, right? So we'll discuss about the one plugin, right? That particular part we already install in Visual Studio Code. If you wanted to fetch those information, so generally these are the AEM header component, right? So if you wanted to fetch that everyone, so we'll directly uh, uh, we just need to do import from AEM server. So whatever we have in AEM server, AEM side, we'll able to get uh, in project repository also, I mean to say, okay. Because if you don't import this change, if you build the code, because it is not, I already told you, right, it is not synced with the project folder, so all the things will be lost. So before starting this one, we just need to do all every time we just need to import the things. So if I open this one AEM component, header component, then client libs, as you can see client libs created, and we are getting CSS, JS, as well as all the things CSS.txt. If I go here, JS.txt, all the things we are getting. So I hope you understood the concept related to CSS and JS. Okay. So we do have we do have another lecture where I'm going to discuss a couple of important topics related to AEM client lib. So that particular part we'll talk about in next lecture. Thank you for watching this video.